Imagine a teaching from thousands of years ago that just completely redefines how you understand your own senses, your thoughts, even your very sense of self. It's not just philosophy. It's like a detailed blueprint, a roadmap to perceiving reality. Well, not just as it seems, but as it truly is. And it offers this profound shortcut to inner peace. Today we're taking a deep dive into an ancient Pali text, the Chachakkasutta. It's often translated as the Discourse on the Six Sixes. This discourse, delivered by the Buddha himself, lays out a, well, surprisingly practical and systematic framework for understanding our sensory experience and how it really shapes our mental states. So our mission today is to unpack these six sixes, these interconnected layers of perception, and explore their profound implications for achieving liberation from suffering. Our sole guide for this journey is the original Pali text itself, Six Chachakkasutta. So yeah, that's what we're working with. Okay, so let's open the scroll, so to speak. The discourse begins with the Buddha addressing his monks. They're in the Jetavana monastery in Savatthi, and he isn't just giving another lesson. He's announcing something really profound, a teaching. He says is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. That's quite the promise, isn't it?
It really is. He's setting the stage for foundational knowledge. He's presenting this Dharma, this teaching, as like a complete and pure spiritual life in itself. He explicitly says it will illuminate what he calls the Chachakkani, or six sixes, promising a path to, well, profound clarity and ultimate understanding.
And he doesn't waste any time getting right into the mechanics of experience. The Buddha states that six internal sense bases, six external sense objects, six consciousnesses, six contacts, six feelings, and six cravings are to be known. This is the core, right?
Yeah.
The six sixes. And to really get its power, we need to systematically walk through each one. Think about yourself right now, experiencing the world. How does that even work? The Buddha starts with the first of these sixes, the internal sense bases, or ajattakani tanani. These are our faculties, the six doors, through which we perceive. We have the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and crucially the mind. These are the instruments.
That's right. And flowing directly from these internal bases are the second chakra, the external sense objects, bahirani atanani. These are the raw data, what our senses actually perceive. For the eye, forms; for the ear, sounds; for the nose, odors.
Flavors for the tongue, tactile stuff for the body.
Exactly. And for the mind, mental objects or ideas. It's the what that's being perceived.
Okay, this is where I think the teaching really deepens. The third chakra introduces consciousnesses, vijnanakaya. Most of us think of consciousness as just this single unified me that's always kind of there. But the Buddha shows us it's not a general state. It's specific, it's fragmented, and it's entirely conditioned. Like eye consciousness arises dependent on the eye and a form. It's the specific awareness tied to that particular interaction.
Precisely. It's a dependent arising for every sensory experience. Ear consciousness arises from the ear and sounds, nose consciousness from the nose and odors and so on, right through to mind consciousness, which arises from the mind and mental objects or thoughts. The key insight here is that your awareness of seeing something is a distinct temporary event. It's not some permanent overarching self. It's just a fleeting moment of recognition for each input.
Which brings us neatly to the fourth, chakra, contact, or fasakai. This feels like a really crucial point in the chain. Contact happens when the internal sense base, the external sense object, and the specific consciousness all come together. It's that instant of impingement, right? The precise moment perception actually happens.
Yeah, you can almost picture it like three puzzle pieces clicking together. When your eye, a form, and eye consciousness meet, boom, that's eye contact. That's the click. And this same principle applies across all six sense spheres. It's the point where raw data becomes an actual experienced event.
And what's really interesting here is that the fifth chakra, feelings, or Vedanakaya, are directly conditioned by this contact. So from each type of contact, a feeling immediately arises. And these feelings fall into three sort of universal types: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. This is where pure sensation instantly connects to our emotional landscape. That click of contact generates a feeling straight away.
And this leads right into the final chakra, cravings, or tanakaya. This is where the chain of causation really becomes crystal clear. Cravings arise directly, almost predictably, conditioned by feelings. If a feeling is pleasant, there's an immediate pull, right? A craving for more of that feeling, or for it just to continue.
Yeah.
If it's unpleasant, there's a craving for it to stop, to be gone. And what's particularly insightful, I think, is that even neutral feelings can lead to a subtle craving, maybe for something else to happen, or for a change, rather than just staying neutral.
Okay, so we've systematically broken down how our experience arises, from the sense input all the way to the craving that often follows. But here's where the discourse drops what is arguably its most revolutionary idea, anatta, or non-self. The Buddha then asserts that none of these 36 components, the 6 internal bases, 6 external objects, 6 consciousnesses, 6 contacts, 6 feelings, 6 cravings, none of them can be considered atta, a permanent, unchanging self.
And that raises the huge question, why? Why can't they be considered self? The reasoning is absolutely fundamental to the teaching, because each of these components arises and ceases. The Pali is upadapi, vayopi, painiyati. They are, just by their very nature, impermanent, fleeting. If something is constantly arising, changing, and then vanishing, how could it possibly be a permanent, unchanging self?
It's such a radical challenge to our gut feeling, isn't it?
Mhm.
Most of us walk around with this strong sense of a continuous, enduring me at the core. But this teaching suggests that to say, this is myself, I am this is mine, about something so fleeting, whether it's your eye or the things you see, the awareness of seeing, the contact, the feeling, even the craving is, well, according to this teaching, it's just illogical. It's like trying to grab smoke. It's saying none of these parts, because they're transient, can be that solid self we feel we have.
Right, and it's not just a philosophical point. It's really a call to look closely, to observe this directly in your own experience. If you can truly see the impermanence of each element as it arises and passes away, it naturally starts to shift how you relate to everything, which then opens up 2 distinct paths.
Exactly. The first is what the Buddha calls the path leading to the arising of suffering, the Chachakkasutta.
It is, but it basically describes our tendency to identify with these very components we've been discussing. It's when you cling to them thinking, this I is mine, I am this I is myself. And the text meticulously applies this identification to all 36 phenomena across all 6 senses. This is the path of clinging, of identification, attachment, which inevitably leads to suffering because, well, everything we're clinging to is inherently impermanent. It's bound to change or disappear.
And then conversely, there's the second path, the one leading to the cessation of suffering, the Sakkanogamani. This path involves clear discernment and, crucially, non-identification. It's the deep realization, this I is not mine, I am not this I is not myself.
Yeah.
And this isn't denying the experience, right? It's understanding its true, impermanent nature. And yet this applies to all 36 phenomena. This is the path of detachment, of letting go.
This distinction brings us to a really crucial explanation of how suffering keeps going, and more importantly, how it can stop. So when someone experiences a pleasant feeling from contact, say, the nice taste of coffee, and they delight in it, cling to it, that feeds what the Buddha calls the underlying tendency of greed. You just want more.
Right. And if an unpleasant feeling comes up like a loud, sudden noise, and you react with grief, lamenting, getting all worked up, that fuels the underlying tendency of aversion. You desperately want it gone. But what's really subtle and important is the neutral feeling part. If you experience something neutral and you fail to understand its origin, its end, its satisfaction, its danger, the escape from it, that failure leads to the underlying tendency of ignorance. The text is pretty blunt here. It's simply not possible to end suffering without abandoning these deep-seated underlying tendencies. They're like the engine driving it all.
So, how does suffering actually cease then? The teaching offers a clear, actionable path. It's not just theory. When you experience a pleasant feeling and you don't delight or cling to it, you just notice it. You abandon greed. You feel the pleasantness, but you don't grasp. When you experience an unpleasant feeling, you don't grieve or become bewildered. You simply observe it as impermanent. That way you abandon aversion. And when a neutral feeling arises, you do understand its origin, its cessation, its gratification, danger, and escape. You see it clearly. And by doing that, you abandon ignorance. It's a complete shift in engagement with your own moment-to-moment experience.
So what does this all mean, practically? It means by actively abandoning ignorance and cultivating wisdom, by really see the impermanent nature of all these sensations, feelings, cravings, you can genuinely end suffering. Right here, right now. It's not some distant, maybe, goal. It's the direct application of understanding these sixes.
And the ultimate outcome of this deep understanding, well, it's a profound state of liberation. The text describes a well-instructed, noble disciple who truly sees and gets this. They become disenchanted with all these sensory experiences and the mental states tied to them, the eyes, forms, consciousness, contact, feelings, cravings, the whole chain for all 6 senses. This disenchantment, nibbandati, isn't like being cynical or depressed. It's more like seeing how a magic trick works. Once you know the secret, the illusion loses its power over you.
That's a really helpful way to think about it.
Huh.
It's not negative, it's liberating insight. And what's remarkable is the chain of liberation that follows. Seeing through the illusion, this disenchantment, naturally leads to dispassion, virjati. You're just not fueled by craving or aversion for these fleeting things anymore. And this dispassion, in turn, directly leads to liberation, vimukkati. It's like a systematic unraveling of all the knots that bind us to suffering.
Exactly. And for the liberated one, the knowledge just arises. Destroyed is birth, lived is the holy life, done is what had to be done. There is no more for the state of being.
Right.
It's a declaration of complete freedom, the end of the journey. And to really underscore the immediate power of this teaching, the sutta ends with this amazing detail. While this very discourse was being given, 60 monks were liberated from their defilements. They achieved freedom right there in that moment.
Wow. Okay, so we've taken this remarkable deep dive into the Chachakkasutta. It reveals the systematic and, frankly, surprisingly modern analysis of human experience. From just seeing something to the complex chain of feelings and cravings that follow, it offers this profound perspective that our sense of self isn't found in this constantly changing flow of senses, consciousness, feelings, or emotions. And, understanding these 6 6s isn't just ancient philosophy homework, it's a deeply practical tool for navigating your actual daily life. It gives you a precise framework for watching how your perceptions lead to feelings, and how those feelings, if you don't pay attention, can lead straight into the desire and aversion that fuel so much of our suffering. So here's something to maybe chew on. If everything we perceive, think, and feel is constantly arising and ceasing, constantly in flux, how much of our daily struggle or suffering comes from trying to hold on to things that are inherently impermanent? What if truly seeing and accepting the fleeting nature of our experiences isn't a loss at all, but actually the ultimate path to finding genuine stability and profound inner peace?